Welcome back to Leaps and Hounds, our dog training podcast. We're back here at the Dogs Trust in Harefield, answering more of your questions you've been getting in touch with, your dog training issues, your dog behaviour problems. I've got Kris Glover here, as always, dog behaviourist here at the Dogs Trust. Hello to you.
Hello.
Maggie and Tink, your dogs, again looking very chilled out. I don't know how, you weave a magic spell or something over them and relax, and they're nice and calm, aren't they? Frances has got in touch about her dog Milo. Now, her cats are scared to come downstairs because her dog chases and torments them. She says, I need to get them to be friends. Do you have any tips, Kris? And this is tricky, isn't it?
It's really tricky.
Getting dogs and cats to be friends. What would you say?
Yeah. I think what we need to do is consider it a little bit more from the cat's point of view. And dogs can be quite dangerous for cats. So cats can be considered as prey for some dogs. So the cats have probably been very sensible by running away and trying to stay out of Milo's way. Rather than thinking about them being friends, because they might never be friends, we want them to be able to cohabit more comfortably together. So if we're thinking about it from a cat perspective, we need the cat to have safe space. So upstairs at the moment is probably wonderful safe space for the cats. That's why they're retreating upstairs. Let's block off access to upstairs so the dog can't continue to chase the cats upstairs, because that can be very stressful for the cats. Just ensure we've got things like litter tray, if they can't have access to outside, water, food, attention from us, because cats do like to spend time with us. Making sure also that Milo, when the cats are in sight, Milo is interacting with us. So the cats start to get a little bit more confident, because Milo, perhaps put him on a lead, is less able now to chase. But we just want the cats, in order for the cats to feel more comfortable around him, they've got to feel absolutely assured that he's not going to chase them.
Right. So it might be a situation that you just have to keep them a bit separate and try and make sure the cats are happy with that setup at the same time. Because you don't want them to feel, oh, they're banished to upstairs, never able to come down because they're terrified of the dog.
And we can do things like, we can sort of segregate the house in some way. So if the cats do like going out, because usually cat flaps are on front or back doors, if they do like to go out into the garden during the day, just making sure that Milo's probably not out in the house or is in another room at the time when they want to come through the hallway. Also just making sure that when they are out in the garden, Milo doesn't have opportunity then to chase them out of the garden as well, because the same thing applies outside as it does inside, but just giving them loads of opportunity to learn that Milo is actually not going to chase them again, because every time they're chased, Milo thinks it's a game. They certainly don't.
No, and it's interesting, isn't it? Because for that, it only takes one brave cat in a sense. I know my dog Bailey, for all those times that she would want to chase a cat, if a cat actually stood its ground, which some of the cats she met did, she was absolutely terrified, and she would stand still, have a look, assess the situation and go, no, do you think I'm going to go this way? Actually, I'm not going to take that cat on. So sometimes actually it takes the cat to be a bit bold, but then if your cats aren't like that, or they're just scared, you can't make a cat do that, can you?
Yes, and I think there's always a cat, that's quite a risky situation or position for a cat to put themselves in, because there is always going to be that one dog that goes, I'm not scared of you and I'm going to go forward. So cats will be flighty rather than stand their ground. Maggie is quite interested in cats when they're on the move. So she likes things that are moving. That really encourages her to try and chase. As soon as the cat stops and remains stationary, then she will. And actually, it's quite interesting, because we're out on walks. She's always on the lead. The cats know. The cats know that the dogs are on the lead,
right,
and that at the sort of the length that
so
they
they're
can
more
get
likely to be brave then when they see a dog on a lead.
Yeah, they're probably more likely to be brave. But I think even those cats that do stand their ground, it's quite a stressful situation for them, because they've got a dog that's barking at them, attempting play. Cats and dogs play very differently. Cats are quite solitary. They sometimes have other cats that are friends that live in the same household, but they're solitary animals, whereas dogs are social. So actually the communications between the two can be quite confused. A dog wagging his tail probably means he's quite happy or she's quite happy. A cat swishing their tail means they're uncertain. So there's a difficulty in communication. And I think also just considering what a cat probably wants to be sleeping during the day, a little bit more active at night. So that's going to help us as well, because our dogs tend to want to be doing things during the day and will probably settle overnight as well.
Are there things that you can try though? For example, you know, rewarding the dog when it ignores the cat, or rewarding the dog when it's sort of not barking at the cat, or, you know, what kind of things could you try that aren't going to stress the cats out too much?
So if we've got cats that are not too worried, so if the cats aren't too worried about Milo, what we could do is have 2 baby gates. So we have one right at the top of the stairs and one right at the bottom, because what we don't want to happen is the cat starts to become brave, comes down the stairs, and then Milo runs towards the baby gate at the bottom, because that's still going to cause the cat to run back up the stairs again. So 2 baby gates, but what we might want to do is set up sessions where we're either giving Milo his food at the bottom of the stairs, or we've given him an enrichment toy, so a food toy with something nice in it, or we're doing some sit and down training, whilst the cat has their most favourite food in a little bowl at the top of the stairs. So if they like tuna or sardines or a little bit of chicken, they have that in the bowl. So what we're starting to do is associating that when they're not too close to each other, but when they're in sight of each other, both of them gets really high reward. And Milo is just starting to learn that actually the cats aren't fun anymore. We are fun. We're the one that's are interesting.
And is it key to sort of get in there early? So if you're bringing a new dog home and you already have cats, what do you think are some things that you can do to ease that transition and to try and make sure they can kind of tolerate each other a bit better right from the beginning?
So at Dogs Trust, we always make sure that a dog that's going home with a cat has had some experience. So if a dog has lived with a cat before, and again, it might not work in the next situation, but it's likely that that dog's had some experience of cats, so they're less likely to be interested in them. So that's the first thing we could do. If we're thinking about collecting a puppy and we've got older cats at home, then again, maybe consider getting one from a breeder that have got cats, because there will be some knowledge and experience that that puppy will have of cats. The most important thing is making sure that the dog doesn't do anything to the cat that the cat doesn't like. So, as you said, just keeping them on a lead, just keeping them, restricting them from being able to chase or torment the cat, that's the best thing to do. We can do a little tiny bit of scent swap. It's usually not advised to do it in the cat's safe space. So if we've decided that 3 rooms upstairs are dog free, let's not be putting scent items upstairs that smell of the dog, because suddenly we're introducing that dog smell into that area. But it might be that if they do venture downstairs, that they might have like a little scent cloth, but they're quite good at smelling a dog. But what we can also do is maybe do a little scent swap with the dog as well, or even sound record. So some cats are very vocal, and if that triggers the dog to get up and think, oh gosh, you know, my friend's coming downstairs, this is really exciting, what we could do is record it and play back a playing of that whilst the dog's doing something like having a treat toy, or doing something, or doing a nice sit or a downstay. Just gets more used to it. Absolutely, yeah.
And what about things to avoid doing then? Because I imagine sort of, I don't know, putting a cat in a cat carrier, for example, and trying to bring it down and trying to tell the dog to be nice to it, you know, that's going to be stressful for the cat, isn't it?
Yes, definitely. So we need to give cats the freedom to retreat and run away if they want to. Keep our dogs on the lead. And probably my biggest suggestion would be, or the number one tip would be, don't just let them sort it out, because they won't. Dogs can suffer some quite nasty injuries from cat scratch and cat bites. Cats will, if they've had an interaction with a dog that hasn't gone particularly well, that's probably going to be for life. They're probably going to remember that and not want to put themselves in that position again. So yes, structure it so the dog's learning that the cats aren't fun to chase, and the cat's learning that the dog is actually quite predictable and quite reliable, and doesn't try to come over towards them and chase them when they don't want to be interacted with.
Okay, so it might be a question of just sort of managing that situation in the best way for both of them, mightn't it? And when you're out on a walk and your dog sees a cat, you know, have you got some tips on that? Because again, it's one of those situations, isn't it, that can suddenly very quickly escalate. You know, hopefully your dog's on the lead when that happens, but you need to be able to make sure that you can control it and it's not dragging you across the road to get to the cat.
Yeah, definitely. See, cats are very routine driven, very predictable. So often when you go out for a walk at a certain time of night, you can absolutely guarantee that the same cat is going to be under the same car, on the same car bonnet, on the same doorstep. So you can start to predict where that cat's likely to be. So what again you can do is try to get your dog's attention, avoid it. So if it's too problematic for us, let's just avoid where we know the cats are, or maybe go out slightly earlier or slightly later just to avoid them. So it's absolutely trying to get attention on us. Remember, dogs have got an exceptional sense of smell, so even if we can't see the cat,
it'll sense it a mile off.
Absolutely. Either they remember that they saw the cat there the last time, or they can actually smell because the cat is still present but hiding. And it's just, again, giving a little bit of distance. So the further that we are away from the cat, the less likely a dog will be to try and get forward, because if they're 3 feet away, they're probably going to really, really try to get forward towards that cat. If they're 30 feet away, possibly less so. Turning around in the opposite direction, getting our dogs focused on us, that's all good things to do. Walking in the rain. So if you've got dogs that do not mind walking in the rain, and are very, very sort of chase motivated by cats don't like being out when it's raining.
Oh, that's
so
a good
just take
tip.
all of your dogs in, and all of your walks in the rain.
You will just have to face the fact that you'll have to get wet as a consequence of that, but at least you won't be dragged around when your dog's trying to chase a cat. Good to know in that case. So when we come to sort of summarise then, what you think your top tips are for if you're trying to get cats and dogs to just tolerate living with each other. That might be as good as it gets, mightn't it? What would your top tips be?
So the first one would be just sort of find out the history of the dog. So if you've got a puppy, and you've got the choice of breeders, and one of the breeders have got cats and they're equally good breeders, go for the one that's got the cats, because you've got a puppy that's already got good experiences, probably learnt off mum to be really respectful around cats. That's number one. Number two, make sure that when you get them home, those first few encounters are amazing. So the cat never gets used to being, never has to tolerate being chased. The dog doesn't get used to the fact that chasing the cat is actually quite good fun. Separate out your areas if you want to, if you need to, if you feel that's going to be beneficial. Just making sure that the safe cat area doesn't have dog smell or dog entering into it at all. Making sure that the cat's got access to a litter tray if they can't get outside. They've got their water, they've got their food, they still get time with us. And just spend a little bit of time. The double baby gate thing is such a valuable thing, because also if we do accidentally leave the bottom one open, then we've still got a second one that is closed.
Still keeping that safe space.
Yeah, but it also means that the cat knows there's 2 barriers there. They can sit at the top of the stairs and have something nice to eat, and then the dog can sit at the bottom of the stairs and do some nice settle work, this sort of stuff with us. Keep them nice and calm.
Maggie and Tink, both looking very settled at the moment.
Nice and settled.
No cats in the vicinity, we can safely say that, can't we? Kris, thank you so much. Brilliant advice. And a big thank you to you for joining us for this week's Leaps and Hounds. We'll see you again next week for another episode where again we'll be answering your questions and your dog behaviour issues. Bye for now.